All right, so you can see here, this is what I'm bringing with me on my 4-day trip. And I have over here a couple of packing cubes for all my clothing. Back here is a camera bag insert here, so this is gonna have my camera in it, and I'm just gonna throw it into whatever bag I choose to go with. I have the liquids that I'm gonna need to take out, although I'm getting TSA pre-check, which really simplifies things tremendously for me. And then a couple more things like my toothbrush, Band-Aids, those kinds of things. An empty water bottle, make sure it's empty before you bring it on board. My iPad Pro and an associated keyboard. And then you can see over here I have my camera batteries and the charger with it, a pair of Bluetooth headphones, my camera. Back here you may not be able to see it. This is my iPhone, wallet, gum, a whole bunch of other things that need to go with me. All right, so this is what I have to pack into my one bag that I'll be bringing with me for a 4-day trip. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I am going to a place where it's going to be relatively warm, and that made a big difference because I only need to carry with me short sleeve shirts. So anyway, there it is. All right, so here you have the Mountain Smith filled with all the stuff that I'm bringing. So I've just put a 12, actually that's a 13-inch, oddly enough, 13-inch ruler, and that's the width of this bag from the very front to the very back. And this is what it looks like from the front. All right, so let me go ahead and toss this Mountain Smith on. Okay, you can see what it looks like from the side. Because this bag is so much wider from my back to its front, you definitely feel it pulling you backwards. You have to compensate by slightly bending forward. This bag is pretty narrow and it expands to make it deeper. And that's why it feels probably heavier than a bag that would expand in its width rather than in its depth. I definitely feel the buckles here where the bottom of the shoulder straps attach to the bag. You can see how it's actually hitting me right there. And that's what I was talking about could be a big time annoyance for me if I'm carrying this bag for a long period of time. Okay, so here's the Minol packed up with all my stuff. I do want you to note that there was just no way I was going to be able to fit the photo insert into there, the camera insert. So it's without the camera insert. And you can see here, no surprise that this is going to be TSA friendly. The pack is under 9 inches when it's fully loaded. All right, so let me go ahead and throw the fully loaded Minol onto my back. It's pretty slim, and that makes a big difference in terms of how much it feels like a lighter load. It is slightly lighter because I wasn't able to fit the camera insert, but that's negligible really. So a lot more comfortable to carry than the Mountain Smith. Not to mention that this has optional hip belt wings that you can attach here to take a little bit more of the load off of your shoulders. So that would tremendously increase the comfort level of a bag like this. it was pretty tight. And don't forget, because it doesn't have a lot of internal organization, I ended up having to put a lot of the little stuff, cram it all into one pocket in a disorganized rat's nest. Okay, so here's the Air travel pack. And here it is from the side. And you can see here that it is certainly less than 13 inches. I measured that it's probably about 10 inches wide, which is a little bit on the illegal side. So you'd have to make sure that you cinch this down really tightly. Okay, so let me go ahead and throw on the filled up Air travel pack. Not quite as comfortable. It's somewhere in between the Mountain Smith and the Manal in terms of how it carries its load. I do have to sort of move myself a little bit forward because of the weight. But you know, it's not bad. It doesn't feel nearly like it did with the Mountain Smith, where I really had to bend over to counteract the weight. And the one thing that's nice about this over the Manal is that I was able to fit my camera bag insert, or the camera insert, into here. So everything fit the way it did in the Mountain Smith. The Manal is definitely a tighter fit. So the one thing that is kind of a bummer about this bag is it does not give you the option to have a hip belt. So if you recall, the Manal does, and that really can do a lot to take the weight off of your shoulders and put it more on your hips. So the fact that there's not even an option for a hip belt is certainly a strike against the Air travel pack here. Okay, so here's the Tortuga, front of it. And here's the side of the Tortuga. It's a little under 10 inches in width. All right, so let me go ahead and toss on the Tortuga. I deliberately didn't put the hip belt on the Tortuga because the other ones didn't have the hip belt installed. So I didn't want to give this thing the huge advantage of having the hip belt. I wanted them all to be sort of on par. But do know that the hip belt is something that comes with this bag, not as an option, but it actually comes with it. And that I actually have it packed into this bag. So it's in the bag right now in case I want to use it. Let's see, let me get this just right. Okay, so again, this does not have the hip belt on it, but it does have the hip belt as an option. So I expected the Tortuga was going to be the most comfortable of all the carries. I would say that that's probably not the case without the hip belt. I would say that my guess is the Manal is probably the most comfortable to carry. And that has something to do with the fact that its profile is such that it actually keeps most of the weight closer to your back than the other packs do. These are much deeper, the ones that all the other three, the Mountain Smith, the Air, and this Tortuga are deeper packs, I should say. So they're not going to be able to carry the load as well. I can feel the shoulder straps right here on my rib cage, and I'm not quite sure if there's a way to adjust it in such a way that it would sort of get rid of that. It feels like it could be a little bit longer down along my rib.